I really haven't done a countdown in a while, so I think it's about time I got around to one. And of course, being one of the most explosive, high-voltage American rock and roll groups of all time, the MC5 are definitely deserving of a list of their own. And despite having a tiny discography with only 3 official albums to their name, the 5 have an excellent selection of songs. And so I think it's about time that we stay alive with the MC5 and kick out the jams with the top 11 MC5 songs. The first song in this countdown is the first song on their first album, Ramblin' Rose. It's short, it's simple, it's sweet, and man, it rocks. Has some great falsetto vocals from Wayne Kramer and a truly, and I mean truly, epic speech from Rob Tyner. I mean, was there ever a better hype-up for a live album ever? I think not. Just incendiary. It feels like you're in the grande just listening to it. And in a way, it's also kind of the world's introduction to the mighty MC5. And what an introduction it was. But that's only the beginning. Our next song is a bit of a mystery. Black to Comm never appeared on any albums, any singles, and as far as I know, there's not even really an official recording of the song, just a bunch of live bootlegs from random concerts recorded. It's even kind of a mystery from when the song was written in the first place, but anywhere in a garage in Detroit from 65 to 67 is a pretty safe bet. Even still though, it's a real low-key track, and I don't really know a lot about it. But the one thing I do know for absolute certain is that this song, Black to Comm, rocks. And it rocks hard. Sometimes when they play it, it's a nice tight 2 minutes. Sometimes when they play it, it's an extended 15-minute long jam section. But no matter how you like to listen to it, it's always good no matter what. The MC5 are an underrated band, even though they influence tons of artists, and they're pretty well respected in the rock and roll community. As far as mainstream success goes, they have practically none of it. But you can't really blame them because that's not what they were going for at all. They were a radical hard rock group, so getting a hit single was the least of their worries. Even still though, Poison definitely deserves more attention than it gets. It's underrated even by MC5 standards, which is saying a lot because, as I said, MC5 are pretty underrated to begin with. But I don't think Poison gets any love at all. I mean, the lyrics are simply poetry, just wonderful. The guitar work is masterful. Those solos, those riffs, I mean, just Wayne Kramer is a guitar god. I never really realized that until listening to this song, but man, oh man. And then the breakdown, oh man, that may be my favorite part of all. It just shivers up and down my spine every time. And then the way they just blurt immediately back into the verse is just epic. But I think maybe the coolest part about this song of all is that it really leaves you wondering what could have been if the MC5 didn't break up right after this album. It just shows so much growth in such a short amount of time that it just really makes you wonder. American Ruse is the first song in this countdown from the band's second album, Back in the USA. The whole album of Back in the USA is characterized by its throwback to 50s rock and roll roots and to its disappointing lack of bass. But that lack of bass doesn't seem to slow American Ruse down one little bit. It's a tough, razor-sharp little rocker with a biting political message, taking aim at 60s America with its phony stars and cheap guitars. And when Sonic Smith fires off in that solo, pure ecstasy. Damn good song. Like American Ruse, Over and Over is a great political commentary, and it's also one of the Five's more musically mature songs, far from the proto-punk riffage of their first album, but just as good. It's a grand rock and roll epic with a great message and some great lyrics, one of my favorite being, "Talking about solutions, what we need is revolution." It conveys the MC5's intentions really well, that they are righteous saviors for an America in turmoil, fighting against the man for their freedom. It's just an epic, epic song. Short and catchy, Looking at You would have made a perfect hit single for the band, but just because it's poppy doesn't mean it can't rock. I do though remember that the first time I ever heard this song, I didn't really like it too much, I just kind of thought it was an average number. But then I really sat down and listened to it, And I just realized what a spectacular number this song really is. I mean, Wayne Kramer and Sonic Smith have to be one of the greatest guitar duos of all time, bar none. I mean, the way they swap and fire off such incredible solos at such rate just amazes me. This is such a perfect pop rock song, and it's definitely one of the best MC5 songs. If Back in the USA was a tribute to Chuck Berry and all his teachings, then High Times, Sister Ann was the final exam that put those lessons to test. And I give the Detroit boys here an A+ for their efforts, because Sister Ann is a killer. Thompson and Davis have this thing running like a Ford straight out of Motor City, complete with hammer and honky-tonk pianos, horns, girl backup singers, wailing harmonica, and searing guitar work. This is basic rock and roll, beefed up into weaponized boogie. Human Being Lawnmower is the band at their absolute tightest. They're like a machine, loud, heavy, fast, and explosive. Lawnmower may only be under 3 minutes in length, but man, there's a lot going on. It seems to go everywhere and do everything in just such a short amount of time. It has this crazy freeform structure which seems to morph into a totally new song every couple bars. From chugging proto-punk riffage to one of the most epic headbanging moments in rock and roll history to the terrifying climax of Rob Tyner's staccato screams of chop, 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 chop. This song is an intense joyride that is a thrill every time. I think it's fair to say that every MC5 fan knows what the best song off Kick Out the Jams is. But how could we ever forget about Rocket Reducer number 62? It's pure animalistic rock and roll, surging of might, power, and bravado. With its brawny groove, bitchin' riff, and war chant chorus, this song is a true barn burner. And of course, it ends off in a guitar duel courtesy of Sonic Smith and Wayne Kramer. Now that's how you end a song, and to think that there's two better. The mere fact that a song as good as Skunk is not number one is astonishing and says a lot about the MC5, because Skunk has long been one of my favorite songs of all time. Machine Gun Thompson's intro was one of the greatest drum intros of all time. I mean, he's just an animal behind the kit. Call the cops, because there's a domestic abuse issue going on with those drums. He's just kicking the crap out of them. And it goes on for a whole minute, and it's absolutely beautiful. And the actual song hasn't even started yet. Then those spiraling guitars kick in, and Rob Tyner just starts howling his lungs off, and it is just awesome. It's pure, wild, manic, just primal, frenzied rock and roll at its finest. The band is playing in the eye of a hurricane. This is jarred lightning right here. Unfortunately, it just couldn't last. This would be the last song on the band's last album. But it's okay, because from what I've seen, so many rock and roll bands go out with such a tiny little whimper. But the mighty MC5, they went out like a roaring lion. And there's really only one song that can top it. Every MC5 fan saw this one coming, but what else could it be? What other MC5 song has the notoriety, the influence, the energy, or the power of Kick Out the Jams? I mean, come on. It's their calling card, their anthem. And was there ever a more perfect opening line than Kick Out the Jams, motherfucker? I think not. What a song. This is just a perfect rock and roll song. And I don't know what else I could say that hasn't been said already other than this is a perfect rock and roll song. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then right after you finish this video, listen to it and you'll see what I mean. This song definitely deserves the top spot for the best MC5 song of all time. Well guys, that was my video and I hope y'all enjoyed it. And I also hope that everyone that watched this video will go and check the MC5 out for themselves. I think they're a criminally underrated band that doesn't get the rep they deserve, especially considering their massive impact on music. And I also did a review of their album Kick Out the Jams last Halloween, and it turned out to be one of my favorite albums of all time, so I can't recommend that enough. Another video I highly suggest is their live footage from Tartar Field. Probably one of the most explosive live rock and roll concerts I've ever seen, and it's right here on YouTube. So I'll have the links to both videos in the description below. So I hope y'all enjoy this video. So until next time, bye.